When Scott Cawthon released Five Nights at Freddy's 1, people had no idea what they were to expect. Your first reaction when you see the trailer is that it is a scary game. But this poster here, you might think it is a fun and entertaining place for everyone to enjoy. You might also think it kind of reminds you of Chuck E. Cheese a little bit too. Yet, despite the interesting aspects of the game, there were some very dark secrets in the restaurant. You are the security guard, but as you're in the cameras, you discover that some animatronics are not what you think they are. And as you continue to play throughout the game, you will discover more dark elements.
The animatronic characters here do get a bit quirky at night, but do I blame them? No. If I were forced to sing those same stupid songs for 20 years and I never got a bath, I'd probably be a bit irritable at night too. So remember, these characters hold a special place in the hearts of children and we need to show them a little respect, right? Okay. So just be aware, the characters do tend to wander a bit. They're left in some kind of free roaming mode at night. Something about their servos locking up if they get turned off for too long. They used to be allowed to walk around during the day, too. But then there was the bite of 87. Yeah. It's amazing that the human body can live without the frontal lobe, you know? Now, concerning your safety, the only real risk to you as a night watchman here, if any, is the fact that these characters, if they happen to see you after hours, probably won't recognize you as a person. They'll most likely see you as a metal endoskeleton without its costume on. Now, since that's against the rules here at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, they'll probably try to forcefully stuff you inside a Freddy Fazbear suit. Now, that wouldn't be so bad if the suits themselves weren't filled with cross beams, wires, and animatronic devices, especially around the facial area. So you can imagine how having your head forcefully pressed inside one of those could cause a bit of discomfort and death.
Just in that call alone, you already know that 1. The animatronics have been around for 20 years. 2. There was a bite of A7 where the person lost a frontal lobe. 3. They try to make sure that you're aware of their safety. 4. There's a night roaming device, so they said. And 5. If you're not careful and they see you, they'll try to stuff you in a Freddy Fazbear suit. Uh-oh! Not good! But what does it tell you? That they're confused? Well, there's more to it. As you go into the game, you will discover newspaper articles that change. One talks about 2 kids disappearing at a local pizzeria, which happened to be Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. And then the next one was 5 children now reported missing, suspect convicted. But, to be honest, the bodies were never found. They even mentioned about a local pizzeria, again, Freddy Fazbear's, threatened with shutdown over sanitation, which means the animatronics stink, and then it ends with the local pizzeria closing. Yeah, let's kind of connect the dots here. You first hear about children going missing. Starts with 2, then 5, smelling, and closing down. There's a connection somewhere. Now, just the first game alone can't give us an answer, but you can come up with a theory that the children's bodies not only disappeared, but they might have been stuffed in the animatronic suits based off the phone call in Night 1.
Another important clue is the Night 4 call in Fnaf 1. Keep in mind, in that call, it is the phone guy's last night. And spoiler alert, he does die because of this particular incident. And it will change the whole course. And you're going to be a little surprised if you haven't heard it. Especially later on in the video when you hear his voice again in Fnaf 2. Cue the recording.
Oh, hey, wow, day 4. I knew you could do it. Hey, listen, I may not be around to send you a message tomorrow. It's been a bad night here for me. I'm kind of glad that I recorded my messages for you when I did. Hey, do me a favor. Maybe sometime you could check inside those suits in the back room. I'm gonna try to hold out until someone checks. Maybe it won't be so bad. I always wondered what was in all those empty heads back there. You know. Oh no.
The first game alone was enough to scare people, but the second game would show even more dark secrets. When Five Nights at Freddy's 2 came out, fans probably would expect this to be a sequel from the very first one. As you would play the game, you would notice something a little bit interesting about this particular night.
Hello, and welcome to your new summer job at the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. I'm here to talk you through some of the things you can expect to see during your first week here and to help you get started down this new and exciting career path. Now, I want you to forget anything you may have heard about the old location, you know. Some people still have a somewhat negative impression of the company. That old restaurant was kind of left to rot for quite a while, but I want to reassure you, Fazbear Entertainment is committed to family fun and above all, safety. They've spent a small fortune on these new animatronics. Facial recognition, advanced mobility, they even let them walk around during the day. Isn't that neat? But most importantly, they're all tied into some kind of criminal database so they can detect a predator a mile away. Heck, we should be paying them to guard you. Now, that being said, no new system is without its kinks. You're only the second guard to work at that location. The first guy finished his week but complained about conditions. We switched him over to the day shift. So, hey, lucky you, right? Mainly he expressed concern that certain characters seemed to move around at night and even attempted to get into his office. Now, from what we know, that should be impossible. That restaurant should be the safest place on Earth. So while our engineers don't really have an explanation for this, the working theory is that the robots were never given a proper night mode. So when it gets quiet, they think they're in the wrong room. So then they go try to find where the people are, and in this case, that's your office. So our temporary solution is this. There's a music box over by the prize counter, and it's rigged to be wound up remotely. So just every once in a while, switch over to the prize counter video feed and wind it up for a few seconds. It doesn't seem to affect all of the animatronics, but it does affect one of them. And as for the rest of them, we have an even easier solution. You see, there may be a minor glitch in the system, something about robots seeing you as an endoskeleton without its costume on and wanting to stuff you into a suit. So hey, we've given you an empty Freddy Fazbear head. Problem solved. You can put it on any time and leave it on for as long as you want. Eventually, anything that wandered in will wander back out. Something else worth mentioning is kind of the quirky modern design of the building. You may have noticed there are no doors for you to close. But hey, you have lights, and even though your flashlight can run out of power, the building cannot. So don't worry about the place going dark. Well, I think that's it. You should be golden. Check the lights, put on the Freddy head if you need to. Keep the music box wound up. Piece of cake. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Based on what you heard, that is the same phone guy from FNAF 1, but now he is in FNAF 2. That tells us that this was more likely in the past, not the future. Now, before I continue, I'm gonna have you listen to some interesting sounds, but they actually make up 2 words. I'll explain to them after you listen. If you guys can picture the two words, they come out as save them. However, there are two other words that you could hear the letters. Save them is only one of them. The other two are help them, save him. Him refers to the boy in the screen right here, and that is the purple guy who ultimately kills him. As you may have gotten jump scared in FNAF 2, you get to these mini games. In this mini game, you play as Foxy, and you notice here that these are the 5 children that were dead. Why does that sound familiar? FNAF 1, 5 missing children. And also, in this minigame, you see blood all over the floor, including blood around this Freddy suit, the Golden Freddy suit. Remember how the animatronics were stinking? That's our answer. There's blood in those suits from dead children. Because missing children, smelly animatronics, blood from the suits, it leads to that dark conclusion. Fortunately, it gets even worse when you hear this call from Night 6.
Hello. What on earth are you doing there? Didn't you get the memo? The place is closed down, at least for a while. Someone used one of the suits. We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it. Now none of them are acting right. Listen, just finish your shift. It's safer than trying to leave in the middle of the night. We have one more event scheduled for tomorrow, a birthday. You'll be on day shift. Wear your uniform. Stay close to the animatronics and make sure they don't hurt anyone, okay? For now, just make it through the night. When the place eventually opens again, I'll probably take the night shift myself. Okay, good night and good luck.
One more thing I want to point out, and this will answer questions from FNAF 1 about why the animatronics are attacking. Well, sort of. Do you see the dead bodies from one of the minigames? Well, the puppet is giving them life. So this means when the puppet is giving them life, obviously they come alive, and it would also explain why they are attacking. If they are the same children that were killed by the purple guy, they are mad, they are angry, and they want revenge. Basically. But we don't know 100% for certain until FNAF 3. Yes, I'm talking Five Nights at Freddy's 3. I know I am sticking to the profile pic for Five Nights at Freddy's 3 for this one because there needs to be a more smooth transition for what I'm about to show. Before I go to the whole mini games, the happy ending, and all the other dark stuff, you need to listen to the Night 1 phone call, which kind of gives us some Easter eggs. I won't show all the phone calls, but this one is most important. One of them, that is.
Hey, glad you came back for another night. I promise it'll be a lot more interesting this time. We found some great new relics over the weekend, and we're out tracking down a new lead right now. So let me just update you real quick, then you can get to work. Like, the attraction opens in like a week, so we have to make sure everything works and nothing catches on fire. When the place opens, people will come in at the opposite end of the building and work their way toward you, then past you, and out the exit. Yeah, you've officially become part of the attraction. You'll be starring as the security guard. So not only will you be monitoring the people on the camera as they pass through, you know, to make sure no one steals anything or makes out in the corner, but you'll also be a part of the show. It'll make it feel really authentic, I think. Now let me tell you about what's new. We found another set of drawings, always nice, and a foxy head, which we think could be authentic. Then again, it might just be another crappy cosplay. And we found a desk fan, very old school, metal though. So watch the fingers. Right now the place is basically just, you know, flashing lights and spooky props. I honestly thought we'd have more by now. If we don't have something really cool by next week,
we may have to suit you up in a furry suit and make you walk around saying, boo. But, like I said, we're trying to track down a good lead right now. Some guy who helped design one of the buildings says it was like an extra room that got boarded up, or something like that. So we're going to take a peek and see what we can find. For now, just get comfortable with the new setup. You can check the security cameras over to your right with the click of that blue button. You can toggle between the hall cams and the vent cams. Then over to your far left, you can flip up your maintenance panel. Use this to reboot any systems that may go offline. In trying to make the place feel vintage, we may have overdone it a bit. Some of this equipment is barely functional. Yeah, I wasn't joking about the fire. That's a real risk. The most important thing you want to watch for is the ventilation. Look, this place will give you the spooks, man, and if you let that ventilation go offline, then you'll start seeing some crazy stuff, man. Keep that air flowing. Okay, keep an eye on things, and we'll try to have something new for you tomorrow night.
So based off listening to the Night 1 phone call, you discover that it's a completely new company that took over all the animatronics that originally were at Freddy Fazbear Entertainment. And you also hear they're looking for a new animatronic, or a new lead, as they say. That animatronic would be Springtrap, which was in the cover of Fnaf 3, and will be the main animatronic that will try to get you killed. Now, also in the game, you would notice that there are mini games throughout that have to do with either you exit or you actually continue. The reason for this is for those that want to get the happy ending. Basically, the whole purpose of getting the happy ending is to save the souls that were trapped in the animatronics themselves. Now, speaking of animatronics, oh yes. The animatronics on stage would later suddenly move, and they would follow this Shadow Freddy. And that would later lead to the purple guy destroying them, one by one. From Freddy, Chica, Bonnie, Foxy, all of them destroyed. But then, the fatal night. But before we go there, there's still another call.
Hello. There's been a slight change of company policy concerning use of the suit. Don't. After learning of an unfortunate incident at the sister location involving multiple and simultaneous spring lock failures, the company has deemed the suit temporarily unfit for employees. Safety is top priority at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which is why the classic suits are being retired to an appropriate location while being looked at by our technicians. Until replacements arrive, you will be expected to wear the temporary costumes provided to you. Keep in mind that they were found on very short notice, so questions about appropriateness/relevance should be deflected. I repeat, the classic suits are not to be touched, activated, or worn. That being said, we are free of liability. Do as you wish. As always, remember to smile. You are the face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
So now we know that there was an incident with the spring locks, and they mentioned sister location. Now, if you're just playing Fnaf 3 when it first came out, then you would know that there was another game called Sister Location. That's in another video. But it also explains an incident where the spring locks failed. That kind of is a little scary, because in the past calls they talked about how to put on the suits for the animatronics, but then this happens. Now, I didn't mention the calls, at least not all of them, because it's best to talk about it, but it's also important to realize when everything began to go darker and went downhill. It even got worse when this particular call came. Again, this one will explain something about Fazbear Entertainment and what they tried to do.
Hello? of company policy concerning the safe room. The safe room is reserved for equipment and or other property not being currently used and as a backup safety location for employees only. This is not a break room and should not be considered a place for employees to hide and or congregate. And under no circumstance should a customer ever be taken into this room and out of the main show area. Management has also been made aware that the Spring Bonnie animatronic has been noticeably moved and would like to remind employees that this costume is not safe to wear under any circumstances. Thank you, and remember to smile. You are the face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
So now we get to hear they covered it up. They covered up the back room, or the safe room, with a fake wall. That was what Fazbear Entertainment did. And we get a clue that had something to do with Springtrap. Which, speaking of Springtrap, you probably may have figured out what happened to him by now, if you have watched the little pixel cutscenes from the game. What happened was the purple guy was being chased by the 5 souls. They were the souls of the missing children. That kind of gives you a clue. 5 missing children. 5 souls. Golden Freddy, Chica, Bonnie, and Foxy. All of those souls are now after him. So when he thought he could escape, he tried to hide into the spring lock suit. And just like in the call for Night 4, there was a spring lock incident, and just like that, boom! The spring locks failed. He bled to death. The purple guy would make his fatal end. Make his fatal end might be a little weird, but you kind of get what I'm saying. But while you may have now known that's how Springtrap came to be, there's still one lingering question. Why did it start? How did it start? And will it end? Perhaps there's an answer beyond the nightmare. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed the dark side of FNAF, and I hope you guys will continually look forward to watching the next part of the series, which is FNAF 4, 5, and 6, or part 2 of the games. Thank you for listening, and goodbye. Have a great day, or good night, depending on when you watch it.